Hello there. I am almost at 3 o'clock. I had mentioned to some people that I was going to be on between 1 and 3, and I just barely made it. So I am here. I want to say welcome. Hello. Let's see, what is your name? Martina. Nice to have you here. My name is Becky Schauer. I'm an independent damsel pro for Damsel in Defense, and I'm also a stay-at-home mom to 3 kids who are 6 and under. Hello, nice to have you here. Barbara. I'm glad you guys are here. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how children become victims of sex trafficking, and then I'm going to turn it into a 2-part thing just because it's such a big topic that I think trying to do, the why and then what to do about it in one scope would be a little crazy. So So if you would share this out with your following, this is a topic that is very important for parents to know about. It's starting to get some traction, but it's still kind of a taboo topic that people either don't understand, and so they don't think it's as big of a deal as it is, or they just feel uncomfortable talking about it. So I'm going to talk about it for you. Okay. So my all of my stats and all of my information has either come from previous knowledge that I don't remember exactly where I got it from, or it came from the FBI website or an article on sharedhope.org. Okay, so can I just get an idea real quick of how familiar you guys are with the topic? Can you give me a 1 if you are pretty familiar and you kind of know about it pretty well? Give me a 2 if you've heard about it, you don't really know too much, but you are aware of the problem. And then can you give me a 3 if maybe you've heard the term but you don't really know anything about it, or you haven't heard of it at all? That would be really helpful for me to be able to see kind of where you guys are at. Hang on. Ooh. Okay, sorry. A 2. Okay. That's kind of where I figured most people are. One of the things in movies, especially, you see victims of sex trafficking getting into it because they've been kidnapped, and that happens sometimes, but it really isn't the main way that kids get brought into it. The main way that they are brought into it is by somebody they trust manipulating them. Okay, so it can be so many different types of people. It can be a boyfriend. It can be an older adult that's been a mentor to them. It can be a friend in high school, and it can be somebody that they just met online. Kids can be really naive. And so they think that if they've met somebody online that they know them. And even if you tell them that they can't trust people online, they don't always believe that. And so that's part of the reason that traffickers go after children, is because they are kind of naive. And so, I don't know, like that age is so hard anyway. The average age of a child that gets sucked into this is, for girls, it's 12 to 14 years old was the first time that they become a victim. And for boys and transgender children, it is, hang on. I have too many notes. Okay. For boys and transgender youth, it is 11 to 13. Okay, and that's just the average. So there are definitely children younger than that, and there are children older than that, but that's kind of the baseline. So these are kids that are just getting into middle school, kids that they kind of do silly things anyway sometimes, and so they're so vulnerable. And this topic is it's important to me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, because when I think about myself at that age, I would have been the perfect victim. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Thankfully, I wasn't ever approached by anybody, and so I was spared from that. But I would have been the perfect victim at that age. And so, so as I'm going through these things, as I'm talking to you about some of these things, I want you to be thinking about your children and the children that you know. And if any red flags come up, either it'll probably be tomorrow. I left the number downstairs, but I will have a number that you can call or you can Google it. But if there are a lot of red flags as you're listening to this, I highly suggest that you call the National Trafficking Hotline. Worst case scenario, you may have saved them. I mean, if it's the worst case scenario for them. Sorry if that's confusing. Okay, so so I gotta think how I want to say this because my brain, I get scatterbrained so easy, and so I kind of lose track where I'm going. Okay, so I already said that they are manipulated by people that they trust. So when a person is looking for a child, they're looking for a specific type of child. They're looking for somebody who has a need that is not being met, and they're looking for somebody that doesn't know how to meet that need for themselves, which is most kids, at least as far as not being able to meet their own needs. So, so there are different types of needs that a trafficker will meet initially. Those can be needs like physical needs. And the first few that I'm going to be talking about, these are mostly going to apply to kids who are runaways or to foster or not foster kids. I mean, I'm sorry. I meant kids that are being abused at home or are victims of bullying. Okay, these are going to be the type of victim that they're looking for the first three, and then after that, it's going to be more typical kids. Okay, so this first one is physical needs. This is somebody that doesn't feel safe at home, or they might be homeless. So the trafficker is going to meet those very physical, very immediate needs. Okay, they're going to give them clothing. They're going to give them shelter. They're going to do anything that they can to make that child feel safe and feel provided for. Okay. Then another type of need can be safety and security. So that's similar to physical needs, but that might be, especially in a case of an abusive home, the trafficker will promise protection from the parents or the bully that they're dealing with. It can be health needs, financial security. If the child is in a home situation where their parents aren't getting by, making what they're making, the child might feel some responsibility to kind of pitch in. And so this person is going to meet those needs. Okay. All right. The next type of need is love and belonging. So this one is where the line kind of starts to blur, which all kids can be manipulated in any of these areas. But like I was saying, the first couple of ones are mostly for kids who are runaways or who come from abusive homes. And now it's starting to kind of turn into kids with more average needs, I guess. I think that's how I want to say that. So love and belonging. So they're going to become friends with this person. They're going to be looking, or this child, they're going to be looking for a child that is a loner. They're going to be looking for somebody who doesn't have a lot of friends or friends that are not good friends. They're going to be looking for a child who's feeling like an outcast in their family. They're going to foster a sense of connection with that child. They're going to come to important events like, like sporting events, graduation, like middle school graduation, going into high school. They're going to come to the important events. if they can do it without anyone realizing what's going on, okay? But they're going to be there for that child when they can. And they may even offer love or marriage. They may convince this child that they love them and that they will marry them either soon or eventually. They may say things like, "I'll wait for you," or or "when you get old enough, we'll get married." Okay, so they're giving these girls a sense of attachment and commitment that is false, but the children don't know this. Okay. And then I just realized that I said girls. It is mostly girls. It is, but there are a lot of boys that this happens to as well. So I in no way mean to leave out the boys, okay, or the transgendered children. Okay, so 2 more needs that they will meet are self-esteem needs. Okay, so that might be, giving them popular clothing or jewelry items, sending them flowers, making them feel pretty, paying them compliments and flattering them, okay? They're basically buttering them up, okay? And then the last type of need that they're going to meet is self-actualization needs. So these kids that have this particular need, it can be really hard because this one's kind of a tricky one. Even the kids that are not necessarily naive, or at least you wouldn't think that they are, can be duped by this, okay? Because these, if they're trying to meet this need, what they're going to do is they're going to promise them that they're going to get them into a modeling contract, that they're going to help them become a famous singer or a movie star, and they're going to, they will do things like take pictures of them, okay? They will make it seem like a legitimate opportunity, okay? And so that's what can be really scary about this, okay? Because first of all, they're taking pictures of them, okay? Second of all, the kid thinks that this is a legit opportunity, and if the parent isn't, if the parent trusts the child too much, I guess is maybe what I should say, they might assume that the child knows the difference between a legitimate opportunity and an illegitimate opportunity. And so, because they may say things like, this is a class to help you improve. They may not make it sound like a job opportunity, because that will raise flags for parents, for kids who are on the younger end, okay? Because the parents know that unless the parents have this, unless the parents are involved, they can't really do that. But the kids don't know that. And so they're very sneaky because they want to pull the wool over the parents' eyes as well. They don't want parents involved. Okay? So once they've started meeting these needs and developing trust with that child, things start to change in that relationship with the child. This is where they start manipulating them, okay? Because at first, the child truly feels like this person is just the best person in the world. This person is the only person that they can trust. And so then they start manipulating those kids. And so when you are, when you're in a place where you feel like there's only one person in the world that can make you feel good about yourself, if they start telling you things like, your parents are kind of hard on you, or, they never let you do anything fun, so that's what I'm saying. Like they're putting little seeds in their ears, and those seeds start to grow in their minds. And so since they think that they can trust this person, they start thinking, or they start believing the lies that they're being told. And so eventually what that leads to is, they may start asking the child to do favors for them, or to return payment for maybe some of the gifts that they've given them, or, if it's something like they are promising them a modeling contract, they might say something along the lines of, well, I need payment for this. And obviously the kids are not going to have a form of payment. And so that is when they start suggesting that the child start performing sex acts on other people. This is where kids start to get uncomfortable, obviously. But it's also at this point that they start drugging them. They get their minds so, I don't know the right word. I'm not able to think of it. Clouded. They cloud their minds with these drugs. They pollute their brains, and they can't think straight. They can't hardly even function. And so they keep them drugged long enough that they can convince them to do some of these things. And then once they start coming to, that's when they start filling their heads with more lies, okay? They start saying things like, well, you've done, this, this, and this. Your parents are not going to want you back. You're dirty now. Your friends are going to think you're disgusting. They aren't going to want to see you. They're not going to want to hang out with you. And so then they also start filling their heads with lies, such as, you can't escape this now. You're in it now. You made this choice. They're telling them things like, I didn't force this on you. This was your choice. And so when you hear that enough, you start to believe it. And so they start telling them things like, even if you wanted to leave, where would you go? Your parents don't want you. Your friends won't want you. The police are not safe to talk to because now you're a prostitute. They're not prostitutes, okay? I am in no way saying that they're prostitutes, but they fill their minds with those types of lies. And so the kids don't know who they can trust. And the only solution that they can see from their limited and manipulated perspective is that they have to stay in this. There's nothing else that they can do. And that's another thing. Another way that they keep them in this cycle is they start taking forms of identification. They take their money, and so they start controlling even those aspects of their life. And a lot of times it's, the kids go home at night, or they may, or maybe not at night. They may be gone for a few days, and then they come home, and the parents just think that they're, being moody, or they're being a typical teen that's rebelling, and they're just staying with friends, and they don't really know what's going on. And the parents, the child feels like they can't tell the parents because of the lies that they've been told, and also because sometimes they threaten with physical violence. If you say anything, we will kill your family. We will kill you. And so they feel trapped, and they feel afraid, and if they feel like they can't say anything. And so so that's kind of how they get into it. Let's see. I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of just what I wanted to talk about today. Tomorrow I will be talking more about what you can do with this information now that you have it. Does anybody have any questions about this, or any comments that they would like to add? I know that this can be kind of a rough topic, and it's hard to talk about without, I don't know. I get kind of emotional about it sometimes. I don't know. It's just kind of a rough thing. And another misconception that happens sometimes, people think that this only happens in places like, Russia or Asian countries. But this happens all over the place, and this happens in America all the time. And it's a growing problem. And so there are a lot of issues now with interstate sales of girls. Sometimes you can find on websites where they're advertising children for sale, and it's just sickening. So So that's kind of how they get into it. I kind of wanted you guys to see what goes on, because it's usually not like the movies where they just get kidnapped and then they're stuck there. It's usually a very well thought out, very methodical plan of manipulation. So that was basically it for today. Tomorrow, like I said, I will go into what you can do with that information now that you have it. And I would encourage you again to share this with your following. I think this is something that everybody should know about. So I will talk to you guys more tomorrow. Thank you so much for jumping on with me, and thank you again to my replay viewers. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.